Birmingham, England hosted the WWE Raw go-home show before this Sunday's clash in Paris PLE and delivered the typically excellent European atmosphere. The show progressed and finalized some feuds to build toward what should be a red-hot show in France, including Roman Reigns vs. Bronson Reed. A weekly slow burn. I've started to notice a problem that isn't necessarily new in the Netflix era, but it has become more noticeable in recent months. WWE Raw has been starting with 20-plus minute-long promo segments that are given too much time. They're very, very slow to get to the point, if there even is one. In Birmingham, the latest example came in the form of Reigns letting the crowd cheer its collective heart out before spouting one particular bit of nonsense. First of all, regarding the crowd, they were excellent as always and delivered a unique, "If you love Roman, stand up," chant. This whole show opener was designed to make Reigns' match against Reed official for Clash in Paris. That was all fine and dandy. However, before that, Reigns made the case for Jey Uso's involvement in the fatal four-way World Heavyweight title match at Clash in Paris, which was hysterical. Reigns mentioned Uso's absurd, overbooked victory over Braun Breaker from last week. But then, his title match rematch clause. Oh, so, those are just suddenly back again, Triple H. Even though it's not against Gunther, the man who dethroned USO. This is an insanely wild, lazy, and excusably vintage wrestling, just because we want a trope. Bring back the rule that was abolished and never mention it's back before it's utilized. Not to mention, with a new variation of utilization. This whole segment only indicated that WWE Creative knows there isn't a good in-story reason to have shoehorned USO into the match. What wasn't slow, however, was the first match of the night, which easily became R. Dragon Lee and JD McDonough absolutely tore the house down in their singles match. If it felt like they were trying to prove something, they certainly succeeded. This was as good as it gets for weekly WWE TV, and despite some inevitable shenanigans, it held up and resulted in a clean loss for McDonough. The win was huge for Lee, who felt like he hadn't won in quite some time. These two have great chemistry and shine brightly no matter the circumstances. But I must highlight Lee's sit-down Liger bomb, which appeared to have nearly broken McDonough in half. This guy really puts his body on the line for our entertainment, and he's gained my respect after I was not too interested in him for a long time. Now, he's a must-see in-ring performer. To circle back to the world title angle for Monday's Breaker vs. LA Knight main event, maybe Triple H is listening to the DQ complaints after all, because Raw delivered a clean slate of results, at least regarding official DQs, as Michael Cole hilariously pointed out on commentary when Breaker won with a pair of spears. Breaker's win, sadly, still came as a result of a Rollins distraction, which admittedly put a damper on what was otherwise a stellar match. Breaker and Knight are money together. The crowd was into this one, and rightfully so after it started with Reigns taking out Reed backstage and Knight brawling with Breaker to the ring. As the go-home, Raw, for Clash in Paris, there had to be some bigger tease for the title match overall, and it happened after the match. USO, stupidly, saved his opponent at Clash in Paris, Knight, from the Vision's beatdown, only to get overwhelmed before their other opponent CM Punk did the same. It led to USO standing tall by super kicking each man after they went at it, but logically, they shouldn't want to help each other whatsoever. I must note that Punk's attack on Rollins' fake injury knee was a nice, subtle touch throughout the skirmish. With Reigns going against Reed on Sunday, it will be interesting to see how WWE books the Fatal 4-Way, as another theme throughout Monday's show was Breaker starting to appear more annoyed by being treated as a lackey. Remember, he was glad to take over when Rollins was injured. Perhaps, in story, Breaker didn't know that was the plan. There's something there. Regardless of Naomi's pregnancy announcement and relinquishing of her women's world title last week, WWE has dropped the ball on Stephanie Vaquer. Thankfully, she's over enough with the audience that Wee's momentum stall shouldn't affect her whatsoever, but limiting her television time en route to her title shot is ludicrous. Additionally, taking her off of Clash in Paris because a replacement opponent hasn't yet been decided is such a fumble, assuming there's no impending swerve.